For those of you that think I talk too much in my videos, you're in for a treat. This is going to be a short and sweet one. Hi, it's Justin Paperny. I'm coming to you from DC. In a few minutes, I'm going to be lecturing at Georgetown Law School. And while walking over to the law school from the hotel, I received an interesting call, and I figured I'd do something I don't do and film this quick video while holding my iPhone. I got a call from someone who said they had been watching my videos, and I said thank you. And they said, I am having a difficult time. I said, I can certainly relate to that. And I said, how did you find my work? They said, well, I've been watching many of your videos. I said, great, tell me how I could be of value. And they said, well, I'm really struggling in prison. I'm not making many friends. People say that I complain too much, and I'm very lonely and isolated. And I said, well, hold on a second. What do you mean you're lonely in prison? Are you ready to go to prison, or are you in prison? And he said, no, I'm calling you from Lewisburg Federal Prison Camp on my iPhone. I said, come on, bud, you can't be calling me on an iPhone. Do you recognize what type of disciplinary infraction that is? He's like, look, I get it. I'm going to get rid of it, but I need your advice. I said, what's the advice? He said, I've been wronged. I shouldn't be in prison. My sentence is too long. It's unfair. And I'm just really angry and upset. And I don't understand how I can only have 300 phone minutes a month. And I don't understand how my family can only visit on the weekends. And I said, well, how long is your sentence? And he said, well, it's 9 months. So because he was on an iPhone, and in part because I'm also walking to Georgetown to give a talk on ethics and white-collar crime and continuing to do the right thing, I very quickly told him that part of the reason his adjustment was so miserable and the reason he was struggling so much was because of the endless amounts of complaining. There are all things in our life we wish were different, right? I wish a number of things. This defendant is spending his days on the inside complaining, lamenting over the unfairness of his crime or sentence, and worse, he's alienating a lot of prisoners, because if you're a white-collar defendant, and believe me, I'm on your side as the white-collar defendant. My company is White-Collar Advice. I know sentences are too long. I recognize many cases should be handled civilly, not criminally. I recognize they prosecute the low-hanging fruit, and yet men like Elon Musk, who tweet that he's taking Tesla private at $420 a share, I recognize men like Elon Musk will never get prosecuted other than sending $20 million to the Securities Exchange Commission. Millions of shareholders lost money with that tweet he sent. He'll never get prosecuted. So I recognize the unfairness. I recognize that there is a sense of two-tiered justice in this country. But I have to tell you, whether it's 9 months, 18 months, 5 years, you cannot complain about your time on the inside, in part because there are prisoners like Michael Santos and others who are serving very long sentences for nonviolent drug crimes. And when they hear a white-collar defendant lamenting over the length of their prison sentence, it can be very off-putting. And it can frankly cause some problems, especially because some prisoners think white-collar defendants are able to buy themselves out of jail or buy themselves shorter prison terms. So I told this prisoner calling from an iPhone at Lewisburg Federal Prison Camp that, one, he needs to find his way out of this iPhone problem that he's created, but two, he needs to spend his remainder prison term expressing some gratitude for all that's remaining in his life. Expressing gratitude, the fact that it was only 9 months. I said, look around you. Look at the sentences of the men with whom you're serving time. And it was just very difficult for him to understand that. All he focused on was the injustices. Then he spoke and said, my wife no longer wants to visit me. And I said, but it's interesting. A moment ago you were saying you can only visit on Saturday or Sunday. Now you're saying your wife doesn't want to visit you at all. So what does it matter if it's 2 days a week? And so why doesn't your wife want to show up? She thinks I'm angry. I'm mad. I'm bitter. I don't fully appreciate what she's going through at home. And I said, well, do you recognize that imprisonment is harder on those that love and support you? Do you recognize how hard she is struggling to hold down the fort and the effort that it takes to get to Lewisburg to visit you on a weekend? Can you understand that if you're complaining and you look disheveled in a visit and you're mad, that she's not going to want to come and visit? Does that not make sense, that when you call home, perhaps she's letting it go to voicemail? It's a result of your routine. You are focusing on things you cannot control. You are focused on how many phone minutes you get, when you can visit, the job, the people with whom you're associating in prison. And someday you're going to be on the other side of this and have a great deal of many regrets, as my right arm starts to get tired from holding this iPhone as I approach 5 minutes. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap up this video before I step into lecture at Georgetown Law School. I recognize the injustice that comes with many white-collar crime sentencing. I know many good people, many of you watching should not be indicted. Many of you felt forced to plead guilty. I know many of you resent your lawyers who you feel could have done more to help prepare you for your inevitable sentencing. I recognize it. There are all things in retrospect we can do differently. But moving forward, you've got to build that network in prison. You've got to demonstrate to those that love and support you why you're worthy of it. And you've got to use your time on the inside, preparing, frankly, for the hardest part, coming home. And to learn more, I default, I think, to chapter 21 or 22 of my book, Lessons from Prison, where I talk about this U-shaped curve. And the hardest part can be coming home thinking about the bills, the mortgage, the rent, the health insurance, employment. And I told this defendant or prisoner before I got off the phone with him that if he could spend the time thinking about the other side, I think his time on the inside would be more productive. He'd be developing better routines, better habits. He wouldn't be loathed by other prisoners who frankly laugh at him that he complains over a 9-month sentence. And I just felt the need to film this quick video, so I'm going to head into lecture. Thank you all for subscribing and watching this channel. I look forward to returning to Los Angeles to my family and hopefully continuing to provide great value to all of you who take time to watch me speak. Thank you all so much. Back soon. Bye-bye.